toll is likely to go much higher. The Aeromexico jetliner exploded when it slammed into a residential neighborhood near 183rd and Carmenita, and that's in Cerritos. You see some of the pictures there, early pictures from the scene. 28 homes set on fire, most of them destroyed. The exact death toll on the ground will not be known for some time. Only blackened rubble remains where 10 homes should have stood before that accident. Authorities now believe at least 5 people died in their homes, but the ruins have not been thoroughly searched as of yet. One fire official said, "We know there were some people in those houses, and there could not be any of them alive in any of them." The collision occurred over Cerritos in Orange County as the Aeromexico jetliner was on approach to the Los Angeles International Airport from Tijuana. The private plane may have been on a flight out of nearby Fullerton. There was extensive damage, as I said, to at least 20 homes, and perhaps some of the lives lost on the ground when the jetliner plunged into the residential neighborhood. Now, right now, you're looking at a live shot from Helicopter 4. You can see the area burned out by the Aeromexico jet when it crashed, and the rows of burned out homes. Again, about 20 homes burned out in that area, 9 at least destroyed, 1 square mile area. Right now, our Matt Stevens is on the scene with a live report. Matt, can you tell us the latest?
Colleen, Bill, officials have threatened to arrest spectators now, saying this has been declared a disaster area. They've moved everyone away, except, of course, the mass of media that has gathered. The fires caused by the crash are out, and now the impossible task of trying to locate the bodies and of trying to determine why 2 planes collided today in the clear skies over Cerritos begins. The DC-9 plunged into this middle-class neighborhood just before noon. The wreckage everywhere. The bodies of the passengers and crew scattered in pieces, burned beyond recognition. Officials say 10 homes were destroyed and many others damaged, and it may be days before they know how many died inside the homes. The Aeromexico jet was headed for Los Angeles International Airport when it collided with the small plane.
The little one looked like it just came in and snapped the tail part of the big one.
Big plane tail section was gone, and he came down, and the little, like Cessna, started twirling through the air.
Emergency crews arrived in minutes. Most of their time was spent fighting fires. There were few injuries, they said. Everyone near the crash was probably killed. The Piper Tomahawk went down in a schoolyard about half a mile away. The pilot managed to avoid a row of houses and power lines. 3 bodies were pulled from the wreckage late this afternoon. Investigators from the National Transportation Safety Board have arrived. They've taken over the investigation, but as always in cases like these, they probably will not have anything to report for quite some time. Crews from the coroner's office will now work until dark trying to locate bodies, but the NTSB has instructed them to stay clear of the DC-9 wreckage, and so that search for bodies will likely continue throughout the daylight hours tomorrow. Matt Stevens, Channel 4 News, Cerritos. Now back to Bill and Colleen.
Now, Matt, quickly, we've been reporting all afternoon, 3 people killed, perhaps 5 in that neighborhood. Can you confirm that or not?
I cannot confirm any deaths in the neighborhood, Bill. You would probably know more than I, but I did talk to a firefighter, one that I believe Patrick Healy will tell you about, who told us that there was a party at one house, that all the people were there, that 7 people were living there, and they had guests. None of them were seen after the crash.
Thank you, Matt.
Okay, thanks, Matt.
We did have some confirmation that at least 1 person was killed when he caught fire trying to hose down his home. So we'll hear more about that.
Yes, and as Matt indicated, Patrick Healy is also out at the scene. He's with one of our minicam crews at the intersection, I believe, of Carmenita and 183. That's where the largest part of the Aeromexico jet came crashing down. Patrick, please update us.
Bill, Colleen, actually, we're about 2 blocks away from there. It's difficult to find the words to describe the horror of the situation. We're at the north end of the disaster area. You can see the one house at the corner that's still standing, barely, its roof gone. But next to it, to the right, half a dozen homes, cars, a piece of the fuselage on top of 1 car, totally leveled by the devastation of this crash. At this point, the coroner's staff only beginning to tag the remains they can find of the bodies inside. That will be a long task, and again, they are not to interfere with the wreckage before the NTSB investigators begin their investigation. But the horrifying thought that at this point, authorities still do not know for sure how many of the individuals living here on the ground were killed when the planes came down. The fire burned nearly 2 hours after it was ignited by the mid-air wreckage plummeting into this neighborhood.
I heard a roaring of airplane engines and a loud boom, and all the stuff in the garage started shaking. When I came out, the house across the street was already on fire.
It destroyed 10 homes and damaged 8 more. Just across Holmes Avenue from the area hit hardest, Ivan Medina was inside watching TV. His house shook. He thought it was an earthquake.
I grabbed the kids and I went out to the front door. And I saw that house across the street from me just collapsed, just coming down. And it was all on fire, just completely. At the same time, I saw something coming, hitting the rear window of my car, which just smashed the rear window. And I look at the garage, the roof, and was on fire. So I know I got to do something to get my family out of there.
6 helicopters and 29 ambulances came for the injured, but few could be helped. 2 neighbors were hospitalized with burns. Another treated at the scene after she was overcome. How many could not escape is still not known. Crews have not yet been able to find all the bodies buried under the debris, but all hope of finding survivors here has vanished.
We have had
Soundbite
people
from
going through the rubble, moving and putting back down, just as you would in a major earthquake. And part of our training in those areas has really come to play now. We are totally convinced that we do not have a survivor buried in the rubble.
For rescue crews and neighbors, the downed power lines and broken gas mains created a continuing hazard. 9 emergency personnel, firefighters and deputies were hurt, but none seriously. As soon as possible, authorities shut off utilities. For now, they will remain on the scene to keep the area secure, awaiting the arrival of national investigators. Tomorrow, the grim task of counting the dead. And for those who live in this neighborhood who will not be able to stay here tonight, the Red Cross is setting up an evacuation center about 2 blocks from here at a telephone company facility near the intersection of 183rd and Carmenita. Authorities bringing in power, special lighting equipment to light up this neighborhood so that work can continue into the night, because all the power is cut off here. There will be no lights from the street standards. They will have to provide their own to work into the night. For this neighborhood, the tragedy, the horror will continue for a very long time. Reporting live, Patrick Healy, Channel 4 News, Cerritos, Bill Colleen.
Thank you,
Pat.
Patrick. You know, originally the DC-9 was reported to be a PSA flight, but we must reiterate it was an Aeromexico flight 498. The flight originated in Mexico City. It went on to Guadalajara, then stopped in Loreto, which is on the Baja Peninsula, with a final stop in Tijuana before heading to LAX. The flight was scheduled to touch down at 12:05 this afternoon, but as we know now, that flight never arrived. Channel 4's Carla Aragon has more in this live report. Carla?
Colleen and Bill, throughout the day, officials from Aeromexico have been constantly updating the manifest list to try and give an accurate count of the number of people on board Flight 498. Originally it was 51, then 57. Now the word is there were 64 people on board that flight, 58 passengers and 6 crew members. As you saw a little bit earlier, the flight originated from Mexico City. When it got to Guadalajara, many other passengers who were not originally accounted for boarded that flight. They were standby passengers or off-duty Aeromexico employees. Here at LAX, it's been a waiting game, trying to figure out how many were on that flight and who exactly made that flight. The moment airport officials confirmed that there had been a mid-air collision, the flight monitors changed. Instead of reading arrival 12:05, friends and family members were asked to see the airline's ticket agent. About 20 people were whisked off to an SAS VIP lounge to wait for news. Those who inquired about passengers later on in the day were taken aside to check the manifest list.
We told them openly that unfortunately there was an accident and that at this time we couldn't tell them exactly how the whole thing happened or what happened to the people on board. And later on, well, we explained to them that we thought it was very difficult that there would be survivors due to the fact that the plane, as we believe, just was hit and then fell down.
Casperia says that most of the passengers had Spanish surnames, although it is still not known what nationality. There is a great possibility many of them were Americans. He says the majority of the passengers boarded in Loreto and in Tijuana, of course more in Loreto. Also, they have not come out with a computer list. It has not been released to the media. They're still trying to inform next of kin. If there are any of our viewers who would like to find out if their loved ones were on the plane, there are 3 telephone numbers they can call. They are area code 213-646-0309, 213-646-0316, and 646-0317. That's the best way to get any information. Reporting live from LAX, Carla Aragon, Channel 4 News. Back to you, Bill and Colleen.
All right, thanks, Carla. We'll have that number for you again a little bit before we go off the air, and we will have more on today's terrible mid-air disaster when we continue here in just a moment.